Hello and welcome to No Books Allowed, a series where I watch films based on novels and pretend that the books just don't exist, which means if anything is explained within the aged page of your favorite novel but not in the film, then it's meaningless to me. Welcome back to No Books Allowed. Today we will conclude Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Be sure to watch part 1 first if you haven't already. Last episode was more of a riff than a review, mostly because the first hour of the movie is pretty good. Of course, everything changed when the Plot Nation attacked. So according to Dobby himself, when Moldy Pants ruled over the wizarding world or whatever, the house elves were treated like vermin, but Dobby still is. This sort of blatantly says that the majority of house elves are not treated like vermin. This will be an incredibly important fact when I discuss what pissed off a lot of the hardcore readers during the 4th movie, which probably won't be a No Books Allowed, to be honest. History is about to repeat itself, Chamber of Secrets, please leave, blah blah blah. We already saw this scene earlier. More students are petrified of the monster that's roaming. Dumbledore says,
Hogwarts?
The trio now officially thinks that Lucius Malfoy is the villain, which he probably totally is, to be honest. He looks like the Dark Elf from Hellboy 2. We're introduced to the ghostly Moaning Myrtle, and the ghost physics are starting to really get to my head. I'll have to take a further look at them later. Also, Moaning Myrtle lives in the sewers. Oh my god, do you know what she is? A teenage ghostly undead myrtle, teenage ghostly undead myrtle, teenage ghostly undead myrtle, NPCs in half hell. Anyways, they begin the dueling club to teach the students how to properly defend themselves against the dark arts.
To train you all up, in case you ever need to defend yourselves.
If they have to have a separate class club thing to learn that, what is the point of Defense Against the Dark Arts, the class? Okay, so going in, we know as an audience that Fuckboy Lockhart is terrible at magic, and it is hinted several times that the teachers know this as well. He got Snape to agree to demonstrate a duel with him, and herein lies the largest problem with Fuckboy Lockhart's character. We see he is clearly intelligent and devious, as you'll see later. So, it makes no sense for him to engage in the duel with Snape. What Lockhart would have done if the writer or director was going to be competent with his character would be to have had Lockhart gotten 2 teachers to duel, and he'd be overseeing it, because of course it wouldn't be fair for a man of his greatness to duel another. It'd be too one-sided. So instead, he would give pointers to the teachers and students alike, saving face and not making a fool out of himself while still looking cool. Instead, the writer demonstrates a clear lack of logic or at least understanding of how this type of character works, and has him get directly involved with the duel for some dumb reason. And let's demonstrate how dumb the magic is in this world. During this series, let's just go ahead and count how many spells do nothing more than make you backflip or fly back.
3.
Expelliarmus!
It's obnoxious how many spells have no reason to exist. Snape says,
Malfoy, perhaps?
look at the way Alan Rickman twirls. Man, I wish I could walk away from every situation with that much freaking sass. Lockhart agrees, and they choose students to duel. And even though they literally just said they'd learn defensive spells, they are not being taught any defensive spells before the fight. Let's check out how many of these spells cast just make you backflip.
Versace Rictus Sempra!
Wow. So instead, Harry and Draco do a stupid duel where they fire damaging spells at each other with vicious intent, but the teachers don't intervene. Draco then casts the best first edition spell ever. We learn that Harry is a Parseltongue, a wizard who can speak to snakes. Everyone thinks that Harry is telling the snake to bite this random student, and everyone gets scared of him. Turns out only a very, very few amount of Slytherins can ever speak to snakes, because in a world with ghosts, teleportations, giant monsters, giants, killing spells, magic owls, and magic houses, talking to snakes is where we draw the line. The failure of this scene is that the student is random. It makes no literary sense whatsoever to have the snake target him. If the scene had wanted to have any tension whatsoever, the student that it looked like Harry was going to tell the snake to bite should have been a student he had been fighting with or had a rivalry with. For example, if the snake rose back up at Malfoy, it might actually look like Harry did it to the viewer. Not only this, but the scene broke its own point of view. See, in the rest of the Harry Potter movies, including the first one and this one, we are seeing the events through Harry's point of view, even if it's in third person. The languages and magic that Harry don't know are shown as alien to us, the viewer. In the first snake talking scene, the POV was Harry, so he was unaware he was talking snake. He thought the snake was talking to him. The scene would have been far more powerful if Harry and the audience didn't know he was speaking snake, if they had just shown Harry telling the snake to back off. We'd have to rely on the audience's fear of Harry, Draco yelling at him and his friends yelling at him back in the hall to clue us in that Harry had fucked up. We'd get to understand what was going wrong on our our own terms, and the confusion that the scene was clearly trying to paint would have been effective to us, the audience. The dueling club from beginning to end was a terrible scene that broke the movie's own established POV. It ruined its character motives and personalities and served to demonstrate how useless the combat spells are. It makes the viewer question why defending yourself against the dark arts isn't taught in Defense Against the Dark Arts. It also makes us question why the students don't know any blocking spells, despite that being the most elementary form of Defense Against the Dark Arts. It makes no sense why a random student was chosen when there's no emotional weight to it or even the slightest appearance of Harry wanting to hurt him. On the surface, the scene looked good, but if you actually take apart the individual elements, it is the worst scene in the movie by far. Anyways, another petrified student was found behind a ghost. That's important for later. More spiders flee the scene. Harry is once again framed for murder and is told to go to Dumbledore's office.
This is out of my hands, Potter.
You're right, and it's into Dumbledore's hands, the #1 Potter fanboy in the school. Surely he will do so much punishing to the boy. So, seeing the Sorting Hat, Harry questions himself, and the Sorting Hat says the most absolutely baffling line, something I touched on a little bit in the Philosopher's Stone, but I genuinely have to question here.
You were particularly difficult to place, but I stand by what I said last year. You would have done well in Slytherin.
Why? What resources do Slytherins have that Gryffindors don't? Do they have specialized classes? Because every single class we get to see during the entire series is shared between at least 2 different houses, so it's not like they get their own special classes with their own special teachers. Do they get special equipment that Gryffindors have? Because we see that they all have the same stuff. What advantage do they have besides a name? Do they get wizard dental? Do they give you 6 months paternity leave? Do they give you a stronger wand? Are you allowed to openly cheat on tests? Do you get a Slytherin grant for Hogwarts University? Do you get Slytherin tenure at your first wizard job? What does a damn Slytherin get that Gryffindors don't? They never tell us, they never show us. Why would Slytherins make you great? Aren't the houses nothing more than a division of personality traits? Oh wait, we don't know because Philosopher's Stone never told us what the houses meant, and Chamber of Plot Convenience removed the House Cup freaking entirely. This line hurts my brain. Even if there was a proper explanation, it's still incredibly stupid to segregate houses this way. Harry sees the death and the rebirth of a phoenix. I'm sure that isn't going to be symbolism for the life and death of both Harry and Voldemort. Little note, the phoenix named Fox in this scene is total puppetry and is one of my favorite effects in the entire movie. It genuinely looks amazing. The phoenixes in Harry Potter can...
They can carry immensely heavy loads and their tears of healing powers.
Okay, so the Phoenix is a bodybuilder who can cry white magic. Good to know. Okay, so it's winter now. And this establishing shot answered my questions with the candles not splattering on the students. We see the snow fading into the air, so the wax also would clearly fade out like the snow. Ron's wand still isn't fixed. What the hell? That is just dumb. It's been half a year. So the Polyjuice potion is ready to be made, and we learn that they have 1 hour exactly. Pay attention to the time. So, for some reason, Hermione won't leave the bathroom stall. This leaves it to Crabbe, Ron, and Harry Goyle to go get Draco to tell him his evil plans. They walk outside and are accosted by Percy, Ron's older brother. He says he's a prefect and there's a special badge on his robes we have yet to see on regular students. Actually more important than it seems for later in the movie. Draco rescues who he thinks are his friends, and this hilarious dialogue happens.
Why are you wearing glasses?
Reading.
Reading? I didn't know you could read.
That line was actually improvised, and funny enough, far better than the actual line, so they changed it to accommodate for it. They walk into the Slytherin Commons, and Crabbe and Goyle ask Draco if he knows anything about the Chamber of Secrets. He says he doesn't, and about now, the Polyjuice potion starts wearing off. So the scene's timing is kind of botched, since it made a point of telling us how long the Polyjuice potion lasts. So get this, lasts 1 hour. The entirety of Draco and their conversation lasts under 3 minutes, including the Percy scene. It goes from 121 minutes into the movie to 124 minutes in when they start changing back. That means it had to take Draco and the two 57 minutes to actually walk from the Gryffindor Commons to Slytherin Commons, for the timing to be right. On my first viewing, I had thought to myself that it was because the whole potion wasn't drank, only a sip was before they dropped it on the ground and the glass broke. That would have been well and good if the 4th movie didn't establish more rules about Polyjuice potions. It's a nitpick, but a plot hole. Anyways, Hermione became a furry, grabbing the wrong hairs. Ron says,
Look at your tail.
So Moaning Myrtle had flooded the bathroom and they find her crying. Somebody had thrown a book at her and she does this.
50 points and it goes through her head!
Right, so the ghost physics need to be questioned. So the ghosts are visible and interact with objects properly. Clearly, she flooded the bathroom. We also learn that the ghost's visibility is in some way legitimate matter. The reason that Justin wasn't killed is that he was petrified through nearly headless Nick, who took the blunt of the blast. So this means that ghosts are comprised of some type of matter. When Myrtle punches through Ron's head, she's pushing her somehow tangible and interactable matter through Ron's brain. How does this not kill him, or at least render him incapacitated while the fist is in his brain? The ghosts are physically there. They don't operate on their own plane, as seen again by the petrification. The ghost physics do not make any sense, and it's made even worse in the third movie, but I'll get to that later. The ghosts at this point both do and don't exist in the material plane. It's absurd. At this point, Ron or Justin should be dead. If the ghosts exist on their own plane and are only visible, Justin ought to be dead. If the ghosts do exist on the material plane, Ron should be dead. And if they can control it, nearly headless Nick, who took the blunt of the blast and is shown paralyzed, should use its ghost powers to kill every villain who enters the school by phasing in and then becoming real like the Flash. Anyways, the rant about something totally pointless is over.
Hogwarts?
Harry takes the magic-looking book, which is weirdly identical to the one that Lucius Malfoy put in Ginny's cauldron back in Diagon Alley. Sure, that's not important. It was the diary belonging to Tom Marvolo Riddle, or if you're French, Tom Elvis Riddle. Yeah, that's silly. Potter writes in it, and it writes back. Harry asks about the Chamber of Secrets, and the book glows and pulls him into a flashback in a pretty cool looking scene. Harry can't interact with anybody in the flashback, it just shows him things. Look how Tom is wearing a prefect badge. The film never says it, but if you pay attention, you'd realize that Tom is a prefect, and spoiler, he's later revealed to be Voldemort. It's a great way of subtly telling us about Voldemort's past without words, because we saw Percy had the prefect badge earlier. Anyways, the school suspects Hagrid of opening the chamber, and the monster having killed the Muggleborn. The monster is just a big-ass spider. We then hear Tom go, "You'll lose your wand," and one of my questions from the first movie just got answered in a genuinely awesome way. It's why he was using an umbrella instead of a wand. So Hagrid runs to them, tells them they'll have a cure soon, and the mandrakes from earlier. He tells them to be careful, and only Ron and Harry nod. So in the next scene, Hermione's the one found petrified. Can't tell if that's good foreshadowing or Emma Watson forgetting her stage cue. Tom Riddle's diary was stolen by somebody who got into the common room. Quidditch gets cancelled, thank God, because of Hermione, as I mentioned, getting petrified. Ron and Harry confront Hagrid to see if he knows anything, since he was suspected last time. We learn that Dumbledore is getting fired from Lucius Malfoy, and Hagrid is getting taken to the wizard prison of Azkaban for investigation, since they suspect him again. Harry and Ron hide with the invisibility cloak, but somehow Dumbledore sees through it, which intrigues me. Hagrid tells them to follow the spiders. So they do, and they go to the Forbidden Forest, and follow buttloads of spiders to the heart of the forest.
Harry, I don't like this. Harry, I don't like this at all.
I'd be scared too if I was surrounded by so many badly CG'd spiders. So meeting the giant spider Aragog, they learn that Hagrid had nothing to do with it, and also that Moaning Myrtle was the girl killed 50 years ago. And then the spiders attack them, and we see one more stupid spell that makes you do a flip backwards. Then they're saved by the true unsung hero of the Harry Potter series, the flying car. So the car boots them out and drives back into the forest. Oh my god, why? Is he going to live with his people? Is it a shortcut to Radiator Springs? What could a magic car with AI possibly want to do in the Forbidden Forest? I want to know so much more about this car's story. It doesn't make any sense. How did the car know that they were in trouble? Was it just living in the forest the whole time?
I mean, what was the point of sending us in there?
Again, I agree with you, Ron. Literally all it established was the things we already knew.
Hogwarts?
Harry finds a balled up sheet of paper in Hermione's hand, and even as a kid I had questioned this scene. How the hell did the teachers not find that? The sheet was about basilisks, which in this world are giant-ass snake creatures, not weird rooster monsters. When Ron asks why nobody died, Harry responds with what has always pissed me off, the most contrived series of coincidences of all time.
But if it kills by looking people in the eye, why is it no one's dead? Because no one did look it in the eye.
So Ginny gets taken to the chamber itself, and the teachers tell Fuckaboy Lockhart to go get her back, like he does in his books. We find out Fuckaboy Lockhart's backstory. He charmed wizards to forget their memories and pretend he did their cool things. Ron and Harry catch him running away and force him to go with them at Wand Point. He goes because he wouldn't want Harry to use another backflipping spell on him. Harry and Ron go to Moaning Myrtle's bathroom because they learned from Hermione's papers that the entrance to the chamber was in there. Moaning Myrtle also is weirdly infatuated with Harry now. Where the hell did that come from?
Hello, Harry.
So Salazar Slytherin built his secret chamber in the girl's bathroom. Pretty sure that guy's a freaking pervert. It's more like the chamber of pedophiles in the end. So the key to getting into the chamber is by speaking snake. Gilderoy steals Ron's wand and tries to mind wipe them, and of course the spell backfires. The contrivance of somehow all of Hogwarts not giving him a new wand or repairing his current one for literally a whole year pays off by having the bad guy use it on himself. Seriously? That is the most forced payoff to something that was stupid to start that I've ever seen. Ron and Harry get separated so that Harry can be the good guy by himself again. Yay, my favorite character is gone from the conclusion. At least Ron gets to pretend he's Killer Croc for a second. He hits fuckboy Lockhart with a big rock.
Oh?
Really?
So what is the point of the second seal? You can only enter by speaking snake in the first place, so the second snake speaking lock makes no sense. It's like locking your front door and your safe with the same key. A really cool establishing shot shows us where the boss battle is going to take place, and Harry finds Ginny, and then from the shadows enters Tom Elvis Riddle. He's a memory from a diary from 50 years ago, and I hate this ending. Ugh! Tom manipulated Ginny to open the chamber. Tom Elvis Riddle interacts with physical objects from the real world, namely Harry's wand, to take it, and instead of just punching him in the face and getting it back, Harry listens to him ramble. How does the diary create a physical manifestation of the owner? And if it has the power to interact with the real world, why was Ginny or the diary needed at all? He more easily could have just let the snake roam free without giving away his plan. The writing on the walls hurt his plan by giving everybody clues. Why did a manifestation of Voldemort's diary need Harry to trust him in the first place? The trust never amounts to anything. Or was the trust needed so that he could come out of the shadows and nonchalantly pick up a wand? Also, Voldemort kept a diary. What a faggot. If the wizard can enchant a diary with part of his soul to both possess people and create physical versions of himself, why can't magic make gold?
Killing mudbloods doesn't matter to me anymore. For many months now, my new target has been you.
If your target has been Harry, why didn't you take advantage of the dozen times he wandered the hallways alone to kill him? How was he your target? We can see Tom use magic, so why doesn't he just make more manifestations of himself at full power as he's Voldemort? The entire ending would have been awesome if Tom didn't come to life.
Voldemort is my past, present, and future.
You're Voldemort.
Yes, Harry, he told you that twice now.
I didn't think I was going to keep my filthy muggle father's name. No. I fashioned myself a new name. A name I...
Oh, shut up, Tom. So Fawkes comes back and gives Harry the Sorting Hat, and why isn't Tom just stabbing the wand through Harry Potter's eye? When he touched Harry's hair, it was clear he could touch him. Ugh! The basilisk is summoned, Fawkes pecks out his eye, and the basilisk chases Harry via sound. It traps Harry in a tiny room, and Harry throws a stone to get away. This is a silly nitpick, not a real complaint, but snakes hunt by detecting movements of vibrations on the floor, and large snakes like constrictors can sense heartbeats. The snake should have been able to feel Harry and smell him from this distance. Anyways, inside the Sorting Hat is a long sword. What?
Ginny Weasley will be dead, and I will cease to be a memory.
You're not a memory now. You're a physical being who can cast magic. Jesus, man, you win. You've already dinged Objective B. You brought the payload to the end. The princess was in this castle. You've already come back to life at full power. Just kill Harry and be done with it. If the diary had a voice and could speak, or if Ginny was the one saying all this via possession, it might have been silly, but at least it would have made sense. So, Harry uses Deus Ex Machina longsword to kill the snake because a basilisk is somehow killed by a 1d8 plus 3 longsword from a level 2 wizard without a martial weapons proficiency. Of course it is. Harry gets poisoned by the snake because as it dies, the fang is stuck in Harry's arm, and yet one more plot convenience.
Mudblood mother soon, Harry. Funny, the damage a silly little book can do.
Oh my
Especially
god, shut
in the
up,
hands of
Tom.
a
So Harry stabs the diary of Tom with the basilisk fang, and it makes Tom disintegrate. Fawkes cries on Harry, pussy ain't got no balls, what are you, queer? You a woman? And because of the Phoenix Tears, he's saved.
You have broken perhaps a dozen school rules, and there is sufficient evidence to have you both expelled. It is only fitting that you both receive special awards for services to the school.
On today's segment of Dumbledore's a Dick, we learn from Dumbledore the reason Harry speaks snakes is because when Voldemort gave Harry the scar, he transferred some power into Harry somehow, which leads me to believe that the Killing Curse literally uses your own energy to kill others, but I'll get into why that makes even less sense later. We find that the sword picked up belonged to Godric Gryffindor, the only wizard to give up a level to dual class into warrior. When Lucius walks in, Harry says,
Dobby. So this is your master?
I'll deal with you later.
Did that count as one for today? I'm not sure. Dobby? Yes, sir? Do you feel threatened? It was a bit weak, sir. Ah, thank you for the honesty. Then tonight I shall suffocate you with a plastic bag of your own feces. Of course, sir. So, Lucius threatened the people who suspended Dumbledore to kick him out. Also, why don't they call him Headmaster Dumbledore? Why do they call him Professor? He's a headmaster, not a professor. Lucius actually arrived in the scene to make sure he wasn't in trouble. See, criminals always come back to the scene of the crime. Lucius wanted to make sure that he had no loose strings attached to him. Now, if only Harry Potter remembered that he literally watched Lucius put that journal down in Ginny's cauldron. Based on the threats being made, Dumbledore knows that Lucius Hairfoy did it, but doesn't imprison him or anything. It's really dumb.
Mr. Malfoy. Mr. Malfoy. I have something of yours.
Mine? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I think you do, sir. I think you slipped the diary into Ginny Weasley's cauldron that day at Diagon Alley.
Oh, well, fuck, I ate my words. Good on you, Harry. Harry tricks Doofius Malfoy with the journal. He hid a sock inside, and when Lucius gives it to Dobby, Dobby receives the piece of clothing. It's a rule that when given clothing, slave elves can be free. And if only evil wizards treated house elves like slaves to begin with, why is this a rule at all? Do evil wizards still have to do their own laundry? Do they have to specify that it's not for the elves every time they make them do chores? Can the elf choose to not be free? And this shows that even if it's not intended, just having clothes means an elf can go free. What a stupid rule. Also, we see right here house elves are stronger than wizards. Why are they slaves to begin with? The movie never explains it, and if it isn't in the movie, it doesn't exist. So I'm really confused. And yet, funny enough, as I'll talk about in the fourth film, the books actually do an even worse and more disgusting thing with the house elves than the movies do. The movies don't explain anything about them. The books actively make one of the main characters act like an insane, racist, disgusting excuse for a human being just to try and evolve their lore. But I'll get to that later. This is No Books Allowed review, and I'm going off track. So everyone is back to normal. Everything is all happy. The House Cup isn't talked about or acknowledged at all, and the dumbest thing happens. Exams are cancelled. You guys got into this predicament because the students didn't know how to defend against the dark arts, and now you're letting them skip the defense against the dark arts exam. What is wrong with you? And Hagrid's back. Cool.
Hogwarts?
So the credits roll, and we get to see the movie was directed by Chris Columbus. Christopher Columbus. In 1492, Columbus directed movie 2. And get this, okay? Oliver Wood is played by John Biggerstaff. Oliver Wood is played by John Biggerstaff. That's amazing. Funny enough, Robin Williams could have actually been Hagrid. He really wanted to play the role. Unfortunately, they had this really weird only British actors rule going in. Daniel Radcliffe actually didn't even want to act. His dad, Mark Radcliffe, the executive producer, and the producer, David Heyman, had to actually talk Daniel into doing it. The boy had been acting before and didn't want to do it anymore. I definitely bet he's really happy nowadays they got him to do it. So there was the long, overly critical, stupid review of Chamber of Secrets. I ended up not really caring for this movie. The first hour was the best part, and only because it had no plot. The next film has a new director. Let's see what he can do with the Harry Potter mythos next time, shall we? Maybe it won't be completely terrible. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like. I will respond to all of your comments, most definitely, and if you want to see No More Books Allowed, be sure to please subscribe. Next video will either be Percy Jackson or the next Harry Potter, and when I do Percy Jackson, I will try not to get pissed off. Honestly, I preferred the Percy Jackson books over the Harry Potter books, and that movie is bad. Anyways, have a good one, guys. Cheers.
Hogwarts?